Millions of Britain's young adults will have the chance to vote for an MP for the first time on Thursday. The youngest will be unable to remember a government other than one run by the Conservative Party. But in this current atmosphere of uncertainty and pessimism among the young, the Tories aren't expected to win their support. Ahead of the election in 2 days' time, Stuart Smith spoke to young voters and those trying to get them to participate.
In East London, there's a campaign going on, not to get people to vote for a particular candidate, but to get them to vote at all. Young people historically vote less than the average UK voter. Around 50% of 18 to 24-year-olds participate, compared to around 60 to 70% of all ages. At non-partisan pro-democracy group My Life, My Say, young people are working hard to get their peers to take part. This is the generation that has grown up amid deep cuts to public services, a global pandemic, and one of the worst cost of living crises in recent memory. And campaigners fear that if young people don't turn out, their concerns can too easily be ignored.
Our media spokespeople are all young. We've got young people on digital, really getting the message across to their peers. There's a generation collectively we need to stand up.
That means convincing trusted influencers and celebrities to talk publicly about the benefits of voting, working with apps familiar to Gen Z to encourage participation, and posting advertising to the social media platforms young voters use the most.
We're going to put it up on TikTok, X, Instagram, making it very short, very snappy, giving out a clear message is going to appeal to young people. My Life, My Say try to tell young people that it's about them. You don't need to know about politics. You don't need to be interested in politics. It's about your life and what matters to you, and that's why they're doing the campaign Give an X. What do you give an X about? What's important to you?
Out on the streets, we asked young people exactly that.
The NHS has been ruined by the Conservatives. There's so many strikes for nurses, doctors, things that we need, all because of mainly Conservatives. So I'll say we need pay rise for nurses.
What's important for me is that the politicians actually start making a change in the mental health systems, because I find that a lot of us are being let down. We're just a number to them, and I've noticed the suicide figures are just raising, but they're not actually doing anything to help us. The services are just so underfunded.
I just feel like we need a change, because the example, what we have had, is awful. We need anything is better, I feel like, so that's why I think I'll be voting Labour.
Outside the urban centres though, like here in coastal Clacton, a relatively new political force is capturing youngsters' attention: the right-wing Reform Party, led by Nigel Farage.
That's notable in a country where the young have tended to vote for left-wing parties.
The housing problem, that's the main thing. No one can get a house at the moment, no one can get a mortgage down here. That's the main problem at the moment. It's just the economy, just stuff like that.
Yeah, and is there any political party that you think is going to help?
At the moment, I'm thinking Reform, personally. They're giving us, from what I've heard, they're giving us the most opportunity for young people like me to make a future of ourselves.
At the minute, I've seen a lot of stuff to do with Reform, so I feel like if they've offered a lot of stuff to do with the youth, then I might vote for them.
Reform's leader, Nigel Farage, has called the rapidly growing support he's getting from the youngest voters truly remarkable. Reform's social media campaign is receiving a lot of credit for that, though it's the party leader himself who seems to have struck a chord with the highest number of followers by far among any UK politician.
If you're wondering why you can't get a house, why rents are up 20% in the last 3 years, you're wondering why your granny can't get a GP appointment, it's because we have a population explosion and a crisis, and Labour and Conservative don't even want to talk about it. The most affected group by this are the young people of this country.
And even amongst those who can't yet vote, this strategy is being noticed.
Especially people our age. No one really, let's say 4 or 5 years ago when social media weren't as big, was on looking at all the parties and the poll results. No teenagers really worried about that, but now that's all covered on social media like TikTok, that's actually an interest to a lot of people my age, and you want to have, a decision in it as well.
Across all ages, the governing Conservatives are predicted to do very poorly compared to recent elections, and amongst young people, even worse. Opinion polls show that nationally, Labour will likely win their vote, but in what's set to be a landmark ballot, the flavour of politics the young are contemplating looks to be more varied than in the past. Stuart Smith, CNA, Clacton-on-Sea, East England.